Alright, hello and welcome back to Answering Atheism. This time is episode 17, last episode. I forgot to mention stuff at the end, but nonetheless the video was too long. Getting there anyway. But anyhow, episode 17 of Answering Atheism. So, first I gotta explain Answering Atheism. I'm a Christian, and what Answering Atheism is, it's a very high budget show. It's a good attitude to make fun of ourselves. But anyhow, high budget show where I take an atheist type comment from off the internet somewhere. Whatever strikes me as that has the potential. And I take that and we bring it onto this show after I take a little degree of time, however much time, limited amount of time, but nonetheless some degree of time, and do some notes on it. Then we do a talk here on YouTube's. So I guess now that I've explained, we can get to the quote of sorts, or the comment of sorts. All right, so here's someone who's mocking the Bible and God, or rather, just God. But anyhow, typical to see. So here's what they say: God can make an entire universe, but forces an old man to work for 75 years to make a boat 'cause he can't make animals again. So this person is mocking and scoffing, which is actually predicted in the Bible. So this atheist is fulfilling Scripture. The Bible talks about in the last days, scoffers and mockers would arise, walking after their own lusts. So we got to address this piece by piece. I think what we'll do here, based on my notes, is we'll tackle certain components of it one at a time. We'll tackle the forces part, the old man part, the 75 years part, and not being able to make animals again. So here's the forces part. I forgot the I forgot the chapter number. What was it? Chapter 6 or 8, somewhere around there. 11 through verse 11 through 16 here, I think. No, it continues. Whatever. Through 22. 11 through 22. I think chapter 6 or 8 or somewhere there. Wherever near the right before the flood. Now the earth was corrupt in God's sight and was full of violence. What do you see today? There's also a verse that says, "As in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the coming of the coming of the Son of Man," aka Jesus returning. Something along those lines. I don't have the verse with me, but I just thought of it right off the bat there. Very important to note. What do we got today? Boatloads of corruption and violence. So, ripe for judgment. That's what we're seeing. God saw how corrupt the earth had become. And this is not after a crazy long time. What was it? Something like 1400 years or something. I mean, that is a long dang time, but it seems to have just declined so fast in that amount of time is the thing from from the fall to that point, or from creation to that point. It just boggles the mind how things can decline so fast. But reminds me of the States. States here is just declining like bonkers. Europe, Canada, California, just a lot of things that are just bonkers beyond belief. God saw how corrupt the earth had become, for all the people on earth had corrupted their ways. So people weren't doing good, they were doing not good, they were doing bad. So God said to Noah, I am going to put an end to all people, for the earth is filled with violence because of them. I am surely going to destroy both them and the earth. So make yourself an ark of cypress wood, make rooms in it, and coat it with pitch inside and out. This is how you are to build it. The ark is to be 300 cubits long, 50 cubits wide, and 30 cubits high. Now, I'm not going to go off on the cubits topic, but it was like the length of like elbow to wrist or something along those lines, and it varied. There were different measurements of it back then. I forget how much. Maybe like 12 to 16 inches or something like that, or 18. I don't know. Make a roof for it, leaving below the roof an opening 1 cubit high all around. Put a door in the side of the ark and make lower, middle, and upper decks, so 3 stories to it. 3 is always an interesting number with Bible type stuff. God is a Trinity, so 3, and then 3 components to the ark there. 3 levels, so that's interested me a little bit. I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens, every creature that has the breath of life in it. So, a lot of people want to undermine the Bible and not believe the Bible and skewer it by saying, la 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 la, oh, it was just a local flood. No. No, 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 just no. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Do those same people think that the next judgment by fire, the coming judgment, do they think that's going to be a partial judgment too? That's not what it indicates. So, everything on earth will perish. Couldn't be more clear. But I will establish my covenant with you, and you will enter the ark, you and your sons, 3 of them, and your wives, and your sons' wives with you. You are to bring into the ark 2 of all living creatures, male and female, to keep them alive with you. Preserve them for after the flood. Land-breathing, land-based, air-breathing kinds of animals, not every single possible combination of every kind of animal, but one of every kind of animal. Or 2 of every kind of animal, never mind. 2 of every kind of bird, of every kind of animal, and of every kind of creature that moves along the ground will come to you to be kept alive. You are to take every kind of food that is to be eaten. Unfortunately, there wasn't steak, bacon, or hamburger. Oh boy. Oh boy. Getting hungry. And stored away as food for you and for them. So, preparations beforehand. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. So, going back to the quote, God can make an entire universe but forces an old man to work for 75 years. La 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 la. Noah did everything just as God commanded him. That doesn't seem like force to obey someone. It would be stupid not to to obey God commanding such. I mean, it would have been that or perish. So, same thing today. People can place their faith on Jesus and be made righteous, and what God did for us. Jesus, second person of the Trinity, God's a Trinity, dying and rising again the third day, trumping death, essentially pretty much the worst of our world that was brought about in the fall, thanks to Eve being a blonde and Satan doing his manipulation. Well, not manipulate, but crafty. Sure, crafty little sucker. But anyhow. So that's the first part of it. So we dealt with force. It wasn't force. If God tells you to do ABC, you do ABC. Now, I want to provide a very big caution there. I want to provide a very big caution. Very big caution. Because back then, when things were much more in the ancient times, they did not have the kind of technology today. I want to provide a big warning. This is for Christians, too. This is for Christians. If you hear whatever commanded of you, you got to be very, very careful. Very careful. Because, as far as I'm aware, I don't have the articles. I couldn't find the primary one I remember, but make sure, very good reason to always make sure, if you do hear a voice of some sort, to always compare it with the Word, the Bible, God's Word. You best do that, or else it could become very problematic. Here's why. Here's why. In our modern times, I don't know for how many years, but there exists certain dangerous technology where you can put things in people's heads. You can, essentially, I don't know how you want me to word it. I don't know how to word it, but you can communicate certain things and get people to hear them inside their mind. There exists that technology today. I believe one place where it was talked about, which I could probably find more easily, is I think they were planning to install this kind of technology into public transport systems in California. I think it was that. Where there's like certain advertisements that get somehow sent into your head and you can hear them, stuff like that, involuntary type stuff, I think, or maybe it was if you get close to the side of the bus or something like that, you can hear it, something along those lines. But the point is, there is very dangerous, very, very dangerous, kind of like the ability to counterfeit the voice of God in a sense, and this is very dangerous because I think it's going to play a part. With New World Order type stuff. You see what's happening with Europe. Combine that, you know what I mean? Combine that with this counterfeiting God's voice type thing into people's minds, and what do you have? You can indirectly control an army, essentially. That's what you can do. This is very dangerous. New World Order technology that exists and has existed for a time. I don't know how long, but nonetheless, I could not find the original article where I had read up on it. But nonetheless, it is what it is. So, very, very interesting stuff. But I just wanted to warn that before we continued on here. So anyhow, we have to deal with the old man part of this. So let's see, what was Noah, 500 or 600? Yeah, Noah was 500. Noah was 500 when he had the 3 sons. So the flood would have been like when he was 600. I'm missing some material here, so we're gonna have to just wing it. But yeah, the old man part. That is based upon kind of our modern perception versus ancient, when they didn't have as many genetic issues back then. Much purer gene code, DNA, more problems over time, close intermarrying, genetic bottlenecks of the flood and Babel, stuff like that. So if he thinks Noah was an old man at 500 or 600, let's say 600 because this is having to do with the flood or the ark. If he thinks that's old, what about Methuselah? Methuselah, oldest recorded person in the Bible, and this was a male. This was a male. So 969 years. 969. Now that is pretty old to us, an old man. Wow. It's like 10 times very, very old to us. So, and if you think about it, if you think about this is another very interesting topic. The wives tend to outlive husbands to a degree. So I just like to, kind of self-speculate if it would have been possible for, let's say, Adam's wife Eve to have made it to 1,000, or if anybody made it to 1,000. We don't know. It only recorded the males. They only recorded the males at that time, whatever the case. So very interesting. So yeah, but Methuselah ended up dying. He died. So, but he was the longest lived that was recorded. So I say he did darn good. And then there was Shem. So there was, when it was in like the 900s for the most part, a very, very consistent 900s. I think Lamech was 777, and Enoch got taken, so he was, I think, 365. God took him. So, but then we had, over time, the lifespan dropping. And, well, let me say some of it here. So we had like the 900s, then we had post-flood, the 3 sons living like 600, and then we had, after that, like around 400, Arphaxad, then around 200, Peleg, and that is just dropping. Abraham, like 120, and then today, modern times, you would be lucky to get to 60. You would be pretty lucky to get to 60 with all the potential things that could happen, So there's this reduction in lifespan and most of it is speculated and believed to be genetic issues. So, and then there's another interesting side topic, which is there's just minor speculation that I remember from one book that with Asian countries, that ancestor worship type stuff might be based on ancestors living so long. So that's kind of interesting. But anyhow, now we can get to the 75 years part. I don't know where that came from, to be honest. Genesis 5:32. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Genesis 6:3. Then the Lord said, my spirit will not contend with humans forever, for they are mortal. Their days will be 120 years. And I think that verse is, from what I understand, kind of taken out of context here and there. Some people think that means like 120 year, like God's declaring a 120 year like lifespan in general, or minimum or maximum or something like that. I don't think that's the case. I think what that was here was he was declaring a time limit until the flood hits. I think that's what was going on here. My voice is already tired from doing this video and the previous video, and I wanted to do 3 more. Wow. Noah was 600 years old when the floodwaters came on the earth. So we got 500 and we got 600. But note that Genesis 6:3 with the 120 years part, we don't know. I don't know when that would have been stated, but with the numbers, it seems like it would have been a different time than Genesis 5:32 there with the 500 years part. So that kind of deals with that part. It could have been 100 years, 120 years. Who knows if it was 75 years? That might be a very good guess. But if that's part of the mocking and scoffing, it probably would have been just more than just Noah. It would have been the sons and the wives all helping. They might have had others help. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. The 75 years part, it might work, it might not be right, but I don't think it says anywhere. So I think it's just speculation. Maybe so much time for food, so much time for the ark. I think the animals bit was fast, but who knows? Now the can't make animals again part, which kind of amusing. Maybe. I don't know. You could speculate this and that if you wanted to, but maybe, just maybe, this is just how God chose to go about it. Maybe it had 100 purposes to it, to the animals being brought on board the ark, and the ark being made of that size, that scope, obviously for the animal kinds to go on board. And if it was just going to be, if it just would have been Noah, his 3 sons, and the 4 wives, I think they would have gone nuts listening to the wives that long. Squawking. So, I think it was better that they did have all the animals to deal with. It would have given them purpose and taken up their time to deal with. Obviously, when boredom sets in and you're not working on this and that and surrounded by a lot of folks, things probably don't pan out really well. It's not good to be bored. It's good to be working on things, have your mind, the mind working on things and the body working on things. So anyhow, I think we dealt with the whole thing. That's just silly. That's just silly to say God couldn't, to mock that God couldn't make animals again. Of course he could. He chose not to. He chose this particular route for whatever reason. Probably good reasons. Finite humans versus infinite God. So, anyhow, that will do us, I guess. So, we're at pretty darn good video length, so I guess I'll save a bonus topic for a different time. So, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more Answering Atheism. This was episode 17. So, I will see you up ahead. As always, take care cool.